If you can hear the music, it's not mine. It belongs to the original artist and the radio station, which I think is KC. No, it's 103.3 out of St. Louis. I wanted to give you a little tip. Yes, we're doing wreaths again. So if you're bored with that, sorry, but this is wreath time of year. If you have a screw in these little lights that is stripped out in the center, or you don't have the right screwdriver, take a little bit of your hot glue on your closest fitting screwdriver and put some on the tip of your screwdriver and let it dry, and then put it in there. I let it dry kind of most all the way, and then I put it in there and it'll fill the gap so that you can turn and open or close the battery compartment as you need to do so. So just a little hint there. And some of these little dollar batteries, if you're using those, are going to be better than others. So some are going to be brighter and some are going to be longer. Some you may not need two battery strings of lights. Some you only may need one. So it's just, you got to go with whatever. But I try not to spend too much on my, lost a butterfly. Well, don't that beat all? On my supplies, because then I don't have to charge an arm and a leg for the wreath themselves. Because let's face it, everybody needs money, right? And this is a frivolous to some. Glue gun's not hot enough yet. This is a frivolous to some thing, these wreaths. So make your wreath as nice as you can, but do it in a way that isn't going to cost your customer. Another thing, somebody may request something, and as you're making it, you may think it's gaudy and god-awful. But if the customer likes it and that's what they want, that's what you go with. Don't make something that you absolutely despise, but you can also make something that you don't like, period, and somebody else is going to adore it. That's just how it goes. And if you're selling this stuff at craft fairs and stuff, don't get disappointed when people walk away from your booth. Some people may be looking at your booth for ideas. Some people may be looking, but they don't have the money to buy it. They wish they did, but they don't. And they're too embarrassed to say anything. But they needed to get out of the house and do something so they don't go stir crazy. You don't know everybody's situation. So that's that. I found some neat colors. Look at that. Kind of a green, yellow green. I thought that was really pretty. I got these in 2 or 3 different colors now. 4 different colors. I got the pink, the blue, purple, got blue, and a white. So I got those in several different colors. I thought these were just darling little hole fillers. Don't even need to be taken off the thing really unless you want to. This is going with the roses because I have another heart wreath that I want to do. Can you guess what happened to this poor little guy? Archer happened to it. He took it. So now this flower actually goes over here on the other side of my desk, and when Archer gets to nosing, I give him this flower to take back to his crate, and then once he ignores it, I pick it back up again, and this is Archer's flower to keep him out of my other flowers. I give him something to amuse himself with so he doesn't go poking around my flowers. I found these. I've got these in several different colors too. I thought that was really pretty. Nice little pink thing here. But, I just, wanted to tell you that. Isn't that pretty? Now, some of these flowers, you can take the petals off. Cut the petals off, and then you lay the petals along the wreath form, overlapping. So the next petal would start under here and go over that way. all the way around. That's another way to do these that would look really cute. Or you can just take two with this one and start like this, and then take two more petals and just keep going all the way around like that. It's another way to do it. Find your own inner muse. You don't have to do what everybody else is doing. The world would be a very boring place if we did that. And Lord's sake, clear your board, or you're going to wind up gluing something that you don't intend to glue. Let's see if that, if you got super or hot glue on something you didn't want hot glue on, let it dry and then just pick it off and throw it in the garbage. All right, looks like we probably have hot glue now. Yep. It's still a little bit stingy. I did a one which I thought kind of turned out a little gaudy, but I took it to the, because it had some stars on it that were too big for the size of the wreath, in my opinion. And I took it to the landlord, and they're going to do a honor wall. So if you live in an apartment complex, here's an idea. If you make wreaths, make a wreath, or for a nursing home, make a 4th of July type wreath and take it up to them with plenty of time, and tell them to put all their clients who served in the military up on the wall. Or like if someone's grandson's in the military or something like that. And that way they are honoring those that served in the military that are at that complex or whatever. Because, you know, we ought to honor our military. I feel really strongly about that, and I know most people do. So you can pull the butterflies off, by the way. If you need a string of lights, but all you got is the butterflies and you don't want butterflies, pop them off. But they're going to make an honor wall. And so I'm very glad that they're going to do that. I think we've got at least 3 or 4 people here that used to be in the military. That's where I got my nightshirt that says Army on it. One of the members here, Stan, was in the Army, and he was getting rid of that. And so I asked him if I could have it, and he asked me what I was going to do with it. I told him it'd make a great nightshirt, and he had a laugh. He thought that was funny. But it's so comfortable, and I wanted to give the idea out there for you all to do something like that. If you don't have a member of the military in your family, and you know there's one at a nursing home, and you can make something like this or order it made, and you have the money to have it made for them and take it to them and give them this idea or help them set it up, that would be just great. So there's an idea. Please run with it if you have the ability to do so in whatever way you like. Now you see, I'm putting these, I lost a butterfly somewhere, but see how I suspended them through. Now what I'm going to go back through is, number 1, I'm having trouble with the battery compartment staying where I put it. But I can't zip tie it on because you need to be able to access the battery pack. So I have a quandary. So I'm going to take one of these ties, bread tie, garbage bag tie, whatever, instead of a zip tie, because you'd have to cut the zip tie off, and that would be a pain. So what I'm doing is I'm going to twist tie it to the wreath form because the glue didn't hold. So I'm going to twist tie this up to the wreath form. That way they can access the battery pack. But at the same time, I don't have to worry about it falling off. Now, we're going to grab the glue gun at this point. You've got your butterfly sticking up through your wire. Okay, so So that's your first step, is get everybody back in position. You have now flipped this upside down. To get the batteries, not the batteries, but the butterflies to kind of stick out the way you want them. Number one, realize that I was talking wrong and we need them to stick the other way out. Got to go this way, bottoms up. So when you realize you made a mistake, just fix it. And I was talking and not paying attention. But this is why I don't edit. This is why I do not edit. Because you can't edit life. I wish you could. I mean, how many of us have times in our lives we'd like to edit out? But it's those hard times, those scary times, those times of absolute, oh my God, that teach us some of the most valuable lessons in my mind. There's been times where I felt completely destroyed and I didn't know how I was going to get out of it, how I was going to get through it, much less out of it. Heck, I had to get through it first, and I just knew I couldn't. I just knew I was going to not be able to make it through, and I give up on myself. But the lucky thing is I had people around me who didn't give up on me when I did. And I think those are the times where I was the weakest, where I learned the most about life, about myself. Okay, now flip it. There we go. Put your butterfly back wherever you want that to go, because it fell off. Now, these butterflies keep falling off on these cheap white sets. You want to, you can put a dab of glue on there, and it'll help it stay. What we're going to do now is we're going to take a few of the lights, not many. I may have to glue the butterflies on. Take some glue on the wreath form of the wire and put the wire down on there so that butterfly's sticking up. There we go. And if you need to fix this cap so it doesn't come off, just put a little bit of glue inside your cap, not a lot, because this is hot glue, it'll melt plastic. And then just put the light back on. Careful, dingbat. And then it will glue it on. Just leave it there and it will glue it on. Because I've now got butterfly pieces everywhere. And I'm annoyed by that. I'm looking to see if they're on the floor, if you're curious. You never know what's going to land in the floor when you're doing a craft. You never know. That's why my mom came by today and she goes, "Whoa, you need a room," because I used to have a craft room at her place. She goes, "You just need a room where you can do this without having to worry about it." Yeah, that's why I want to buy a house, Mom. Because the craft room thing, if you've got a spare room, you can shut the door if you're mid-project. You don't have to put everything away and no one has to see your mess. As it is, I already had Mom through this morning because I needed help flipping the mattress. And I can't do that alone. I can't do it myself anyway. And so, actually, I wanted to do that instead. See, I get to talking with you guys and forget what I'm doing. So, Mom and I were flipping the mattress, and I lost my balance, fell backwards, hit my lower back against the window. Thank goodness I didn't break the window, but I went down, landed on Archer's dog bed. But my back was hurting so bad, I just laid there and screamed for a little bit because it hurt so bad. Because Mom and I both heard something snap and pop. And we're both like, oh my God, my God. Mom's like, do I need to call an ambulance? And she knows when I kind of yell at her or wave at her to just give me a minute and let me catch my breath because it was hurting. And my neck's been hurting the last couple days. My back's been hurting real bad. And finally, my muscles unlocked and I could breathe a little bit more. And I could feel less pain in my back than before. Turns out my vertebrae had gotten out of place, and when I hit against the window, no, I didn't break the window, I popped it back into place, which happens a lot with me. I stopped going to the doctor because, as they tell me, nothing's showing up on the x-rays. Because by the time I fall and pop it back in, it's already, there's nothing to show. It's back where it needs to be. There's nothing showing up on the x-rays that they can do anything about. So I stopped going to the doctor. I just had to let the pain settle a little bit. So I did that. And then the repairman came by because they're replacing the batteries and smoke detectors. And believe it or not, they replace the furnace filters every quarter here. But they're hot glue. But I replace them every month myself, and I'm the only applicant that does. So it kind of annoys me when they make him have to come in and do it himself. Because I can do it, but none of the other people know how to do it. How much does it take to read the thing and replace their furnace filter? Come on, people. This is not rocket science. But I digress. I think I'm going for a theme on this one of kind of pastel-y colors. I think that'd be pretty. Have several trash cans around you when you're doing something like this. Now, sometimes I'll do these willy-nilly so the flowers are going everywhere. But if you want to also, you can do this in one direction. But I think I want to do it so they're all facing out like that. Sometimes I have a plan. Sometimes I just like to let flowers fall where they may. Today I want to do a pastel, and I want to do kind of mimic the colors in the butterflies that are on the wreath. You can have themes, you can not have themes. People like different things. Even my mom, who I've never made one of these for, has decided she wants me to make her something for Christmas for her door. But she wants to help pick out the decorations. That's fine. I'm just tickled pink. They don't call it hot glue for nothing. Sorry, folks. I'm tickled pink that she wants me to do something for her. Hey, awesome. I can do that. I'm very happy to do that. But she's never asked me that before. So, that was good. And I have a lady that is, as soon as she heard that I'm doing this to raise money for my service dog, Archer, she ordered 2 wreaths from me last night. And I'm going to meet her in town because she lives in St. Clair. And she's going to pick them up Tuesday. And she gave me the weirdest request. She wanted a patriotic wreath with sunflowers on it, or some kind of yellow flowers. How the dickens do I make that design work? That's the first thought that I had. How do I make this work? But I did get it done, and I think it looks okay. It's not one of my favorite designs, by far. But if she's happy, I'm happy. I place my bigger flowers first. And I always consider where the battery pack is to be the top of the wreath. That's a little hint. To me, at where the battery pack is the top of the wreath. So there's something you can look at if you want to distinguish that just that kind of, you know, where who's top, who's bottom, what's going where. But then I did this other one, and I showed it to her, and she's like, I'll give you, because I told her I would sell them both for a certain price, and she's like, I'll do it, that's fine. And she's apparently a vet. She was in the military. She's a military vet, and she was supposed to get, she wanted to get a service dog, but for some reason she didn't need it anymore. She said something about the landlord wouldn't let her have it, which made my hackles rise, because I know what the law states. And apparently she doesn't know the law, but she said she didn't need it anymore, so that she didn't have to have one, but she knows what it's like to need help, because she was an injured vet. And so she's going to, she wanted to support me and help me get the money I need. I love my town. I love the people here. They're so supportive. If they know there's something, a need, they may not always have the money themselves, but they do try to help when they can, you know. I'm trying to get some extra wreaths made up to take them to a flea market booth in June. I don't have a lot of money to be doing that with, but the booth space fee is only $5. Now, sometimes you don't have a lot of room to get a flower on there, but you need one on there. For some reason, you've decided you must have a flower. If you have not enough base to glue the flower to the wreath form, you can also glue partly to the wreath form and then partly to the flower next to it. That will enable you to keep going with the design. I hope that's not as fuzzy as I made it seem like it sounds. But, and if you have any questions, pop them in the comments. I'll answer as many questions as I can. If I get enough questions, maybe I can do a Q&A video. It doesn't have to pertain to crafts. It can be anything, you know. If you've looked at my videos, I talk a lot about my past and my life, and I'm open and honest about it. So if anybody wants to ask me questions, I can do a Q&A. I might eventually do a live stream. I did set up the channel so that I can eventually do a live stream. I think that'd be nice, but I don't know, it makes me nervous. But something always makes me nervous, right? I like these. I think they're really pretty, and it's just a little bit of a different color. And sometimes you're going to have stems like this. Let me get some glue on here, because I didn't think about showing it to you till I had the glue on there. But see how they're all a whole bunch? So sometimes it's going to be tricky to get something glued down to your wreath form. So you may have to glue down the petal or a leaf on the underside, flip it over, and then glue it down. Let me show you. Flip it over and then put a leaf right there covering the stem and the wire so it would hold it onto the form. Sometimes you have to be a little inventive with your ideas, but you can always make it work. I'm putting this one back because I want to use it, yes, but I want to use it color or size wise. Right now I'm trying to get the bigger stuff on there. And I'm not doing any certain color pattern. I was going to, but right now I'm just grabbing it. Wow, that's pretty. And if you did want this to blink, sometimes, now these, I don't know, but if you're using an old-fashioned set of Christmas lights or something, you can use those. And those have the extra bulbs that come with them. And you can use those on the other sets. You can use an old set of Christmas lights you have, maybe, that you want to make a wreath for somebody, but you don't have lights and you want it to light up. Grab a set of Christmas lights that you may have sitting around somewhere. It's all good. The sun's shining today. It's so pretty out. But I've been up since about 2, so I don't see myself staying awake all day. I'm gonna try. I've actually got myself into a bedtime routine, which is very difficult for me. Some kids with cerebral palsy have sleeping issues. It's part of the disability. I know that much. I don't know all the research behind it and all that gobbledygook. But I'm one of those who's always had trouble sleeping. Partly, they said, due to my CP, but I don't understand the science behind it all. I'm no Spock. But they tried all kinds of medicines. And they still try them. But sometimes I can get into a sleep routine for a couple months. And then it's crashed again. I'm pretty good at grabbing 1 or 2 hours of sleep and then going again. And I know a lot of people that have different disabilities, not just cerebral palsy, but like muscular dystrophy and stuff that, or they're just legally blind, that can mess with your sleep patterns if you have trouble with your visual acuity. Because some of the times I have real trouble sometimes, and not in the bright daylight, but right at twilight when it's half dark and half light. I can't see squat because my visual acuity, I'm half in the dark. It's really hard for me to explain. But what I see is not only half in the dark, but it's constantly in motion because my eyes have an astigmatism. So you're doing this when I'm looking at you. And that's why you see me turn my head, trying to get everything to sit still. So not only do I got to interpret things that are in the half dark, but I got to interpret moving things in the half dark. That can be tricky. But that messes with your, according to the doctors, that messes with your ability to get a good rest. Now, back to another topic. If you wanted, you could do glue all the way down this back stem, okay? And then go right along the inner lip of the wreath form, facing either way. You could do either way. But I just wanted to give you some idea of why, what I see. What I'm going to do, I want to put some greenery in here. So my next step is to take some leaves. I'm going to pinch them together and glue them behind a flower and then let go. They will straighten out a little bit and it will look like that leaf belongs with that flower. Because it's abnormal for flowers not to have any greenery, considering they live with photosynthesis. And that's also a good way to cover your wreath form in the back. It's a good way to cover up part of the wreath form that you don't want to be seen. Grab some leaves. There's even lights that are leaves. These are great for spring wreaths. And if you can only grab like Halloween lights, something like this, these will give a yellow-orange glow. They're not just for Halloween. It's a lot brighter for a warmer glow to your wreath form so that you can still have light, but it's not always going to be just for Halloween. Now for this trick with the leaves, see this plastic? Now you can see it. Pull back. See this plastic right here? Pull that off. You want to pull this off. Not only is it going to fall off anyway, but it can make it easier to operate with the leaves. Now, say I wanted to use this flower, but I wanted to have a leaf. What you're going to do is put a little dab of glue on that stem part right there. Right? Like that. Now, since you took that plastic off, your leaf has a hole. Thread that stem through that hole. Quick like and in a hurry because you got your hot glue drying. And then pull it down so that pokes through the hole. And the glue, the hot glue, is going to hold it together. Now you have a leaf or some leaves on your flower. And you can mix and match your leaves this way. Maybe you want a lighter leaf with a darker flower or something. You want to play with that. Go for it. Go for it. So all you do now is put some glue around that part and put it, hold on, let me find a spot. We're going to squeeze it in here by its buddy. We're just going to squeeze it in right there. Push down in the center. Might get a little warm, but you'll survive. And there, we put it on the wreath. And you can mix and match the flowers and the leaves that way, so you can create the look that you want. You don't have to stick with what somebody else put together. You want something else? Go for it. It's your dream, your creation. 11 o'clock. My friend gave me that clock because of the sounds it makes. Makes it a lot easier for me to identify what time it is. I just memorized what bird sound. Now, can I tell you what bird that is? No, because the name is on the clock and I'm not taking the clock off the wall to figure out the name. But I know that sound is 11 o'clock. I'm not completely blind. It's just, as my friend said yesterday, he was teaching me how to do something. And I messed it up and I apologized. And he goes, oh, it's no problem. It's just figuring out your visual acuity is, excuse my language, bitch. Because we can't figure out how you see because it's hard to explain. And he was helping me learn how to do certain things. And it takes time, like in the kitchen and stuff, because we have to figure out what I can and can't do based on vision and dexterity. Almost, and ambidexterity, the ability to move. So it makes it a lot more difficult for when someone has a disability. Say you want your child, say you have a kid or a grandkid, and they're born with some kind of disability. The worst thing you can do for that child is baby them. Don't you ever do that. I find out you're babying that kid, I'm going to come and beat you. You are doing that kid a disservice. I'm honestly telling you that. The best thing my mother ever taught me is right here. You can do everything everybody else can do. You just do it a different way. Don't ever baby a kid just because they have a disability. Don't you do it. You take the time to work with that kid and you teach that kid. You're just as capable as everybody else. We just got to find your way to do it. And that kid will not only exceed or reach your expectation, they'll exceed it. I couldn't do classroom college. I actually flunked. Got F's. Flunked. Me. I'm a 4.0 college student. How did I find my way to do it? I did it online. But at the same time, I don't have my bachelor's degree because I gave up on myself. That's no one's fault but mine. But when you have someone that believes in you so much that you don't want to let them down, you start believing in yourself as well. So, yeah, did it hurt Mom to put... When I was a kid, we had a 2-door Pinto, little hatchback Pinto, 2-door. She took her only day off that week. Single mom, working for a living, whole bit. She took her only day off and spent almost the whole day with me in the driveway. And her and Christy and me, and she and Christy, my sister, who thought it was a game, decided to make a game out of how to teach me to get in a 2-door car on my own. And I would fall backward, Mom would catch me and set me on my feet again and step back. And between the three of us, we figured it out. Well, a neighbor came up to my mom and said, "What are you doing that for? Why don't you pick her up and put her in the car?" And my mom said, "I'm not always going to be here to pick her up. She's got to learn to do it herself." And that lady was mad at my mother for that. But I'm glad she did that. I'm glad. And the other thing that I learned through people when I was growing up is that everybody has a disability. My mother taught me that too. Mama would say, I would come home crying every night. My mother would help my sister with her homework. And what she helped me with? Only the math homework. The other homework I could do, but the math I had trouble because I had, darn it, Gail, what's it called? Dyscalculia. I mix up my letters, my numbers in math. It's called dyscalculia. My friend Gail has it too. That's why I know what it's called. But my mother would be sitting there while she's helping my sister with her homework, telling me, convincing me to go back to school the next day. And the thing is, she never knew until she got home from work if I obeyed or not. Because she was out of the house before we got up for school. Most of the time, before she married my stepfather, I would get up when she got up because it would wake me up. I wake up very easily. It would wake me up when she would wake up to get ready for work, so I would wake up and talk to Mom in the mornings and eat breakfast while Mom was getting ready for work. And she told me when I was older, she says, I was always afraid when I come home that I would get a letter or a note from the school that you had decided you weren't going to go to school that day because there was nothing I could do unless it would, be call your grandpa. Because she had to trust me and Christy that we were getting off to school. We literally lived across the street from the school. And this was back in the 80s, folks. You didn't have to, we were latchkey kids. It was more common, I think, then to be a latchkey kid than it is now. And, which meant that we had our keys, and I usually wore mine around my neck. I don't know where my sister kept hers, because once in a while, one of us would leave our keys, or both of us. And if we both left our keys, one of us would have to climb in through the window and then give the key to someone out the window because it was a padlock on the outside that locked the door for the trailer. And so we'd have to hand the key out the window to the other person and then they could let themselves in. So I was always the one that had to crawl through the window, fall onto the floor. But we were latchkey. So Mom was always grateful that we didn't try to pull a fast one on her until she met my stepfather, and then he made sure to get us up. For school, And I gotta say, bravo to step parents. Bravo. You come into this existing family, and especially for my step parent, he comes into this already established family knowing one of the kids is going to have surgery, may or may not ever move out. Yet he still came in and, went with the family and was, before they even married, he brought groceries in because he saw that we had a need. So we filled it out of his own pocket. Dead of winter. He wanted to do something nice for us, so he invited us down to his house and we had a barbecue. And I was fascinated because I'd never seen someone barbecue except for my grandpa. And for some reason, I just stood out there the whole night watching him barbecue. Just weird stuff like that. It was weird for me. It felt really odd to have a male presence in my life. I was only 8 or 9 when Mom married George. Oh, look what I found. Isn't it cute? It is a bath poof, but it's in the shape of I thought a little girl's wreath. Maybe suspend this in the center or something. I don't know. It may look too cheesy. I don't know. But this one's just a simple wreath. It's not anything big. Just kind of a spring, summer look to it. But that's all that we did today. I know don't have a ribbon. I know people have been commenting that I need to learn how to make ribbons. And yeah, well, I guess I do. I wish I knew how to do that. Isn't it pretty? I do have these. I could, but I don't think this would look right. But I did get these. Now you can take, and this is my other tip for you. This is a garden stake from Dollar Tree. Had a big long 3-foot pole attached to it. Take the pole off. Use the garden stake. These there were 3 stars. They were connected right like this. This is this. Take the burlap off the back. You can use them individually. If this wreath was a little smaller, or if I wanted to do it, you know, you could do something like that, or suspend it in the middle of a smaller wreath. Oh, hold on a minute. If you have a really small wreath form and you just wanted to do 1 star and then do some red and blue flowers around it, very simple 4th of July pattern, you could do that. Very simple, very small, and then just do some red flowers around it or something like that. In fact, that's what these are going to be, and these are going to sell for like $10 because they're going to be really small. But I know people don't have a ton of money, so I'm trying to do a few things that are pre-made that I can sell cheaper. But because of the batteries, I don't like to go too cheap because I got to pay for batteries. And that can be expensive. However, I'll give you a tip. Go to the Dollar Tree for $1.25, and don't forget they've raised it now. It's $1.25, so you're going to be spending a little more than you were. I forgot that. 6 batteries for $1.25. That's your best buy that I have found. This works out to less than 25 cents a battery. If you're better than math than me, you can figure out the exact thing. But if you need cheap batteries that you don't worry about it lasting too long, you just want to light the wreath up long enough to gift it to somebody, and a little while after that, these will last the season because these wreaths aren't going to be on 24/7. It's a few hours at night. So these will last you, and it works out to less than 25 cents a battery. So that's your best deal. They also have the 4-pack of the name brands, and this is $1.25 for a 4-pack. I didn't mean to grab that, but I did. So that's how you can do cheaper batteries. You can also get these containers, a bunch of them for $1.25. I don't know how many because my mom buys them and then just kind of gives them to me. Here, use this. Okay. You know, and these flowers, some of them fall on the floor, and they're not allowed to sell them when they fall on the floor like that. So, then just, there it is. You know, so, there's some tips, and there's your wreath video, plus a little bit of chat. Talk to you later. Bye.